Next up is Teachers, a short and hippy-hoppy track with some nice chunky drum machine beat, some warped bass, and once again utilizing a sample or two from Viola Will's cover of If You Leave Me Now. This time it's two cut bits of Please and Me. And in this, two voices, a high-pitched one and a low-pitched one, both by Tomas Bongolta, kinda sorta raps a name drop roll call shout out to various fellow DJs and musicians of the time that majorly influenced Daft Punk, some of them being in their house. What? No pig power in the house as well? Come on, mate. Haven't you learned anything from Gordy? Everyone knows that pig power in the house is totally the greatest phenomenon of all time ever. Anyways, some of the names mentioned here include Von Helden, Dr. Dre, and even people who would eventually collaborate with Daft Punk in one way or another, such as DJ Sneak, who would write the lyrics for Digital Love, Todd Edwards, who would sing in the songs Face to Face and Fragments of Time, and of course, even Romanthony, who would sing in Too Long and One More Time. Oh yes, that very same one. The title itself seemingly and obviously refers to these people, apparently taught the French duo the ways of the disc jockey. So it's a good little tribute and a good shout out to those people. And already I'm preferring these teachers more than the ones from Pink Floyd's The Wall. Afterwards is High Fidelity, another more underrated track from the Punks, and likely a favourite of mine as well. The sample they used here is from Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel, and how they achieved this is quite a unique case. I already mentioned how Daft Punk took one tiny bit from Don't Go Breaking My Heart and reworked it into Phoenix. Here though, they cut various scattered bits from the old song, most if not all of them barely lasting for a fraction of a second, rearranged and arranged and rearranged them into new beats and melodies, if I can even call them that, and done some compression on them, and still managed to make the final product near perfectly coherent throughout its 6-minute runtime. You could still hear the chopped pieces of the Fender Rhodes electric piano or organ, the saxophone, and Billy's own vocals, now made intelligible due to how stitched back together they are. But even with that, you could still kind of dance to it and still kind of groove out to it. I know I would. This is such a complex and impressive sequence, and it still amazes me how they even pulled this off to begin with, even back around 96 to 97. There are even videos on YouTube dedicated to this track alone, trying to pick up and figure out which bit came from what part of the song, and as well as there are videos picking up samples from other Daft Punk songs and trying to recreate how they sampled old disco-y funk soul songs with modern day music editing software. And again, bear in mind, this kind of stuff was done back in around like 95 to 96. Because back then, doing music editing and kind of all this kind of weird computer software must have been quite different from what we have today. Both similar and different in some way. A dedicated band like Daft Punk deserve an equally dedicated fan base. And even after they've split, they still do have such. Then we come to Rock and Roll. Judging from the title, I imagine Batman will be liking this one if Fortunate Son is anything to go by. It starts off with a simple drum beat and some hand clapping, then about half a minute in, we hear this weird whooping sound that goes on, plus some high frequency noises that gradually increase and grow more intense. That whoop whoop sound keeps going on throughout the entire track, the entire time, and it never stops or disappears. At the 4.5 minute mark, it somewhat calms down a bit, and at first you think it would end there, but no, it still carries on. and that buzzing frequency sound gets even more crazy and mad. It kind of sounds like something out of Aphex Twin or something. It's also quite similar to that raw electro-minimalist style we would hear in Human After All. It's also the longest track of the album, clocking up to about 7 minutes and 32 seconds. Yes, even a slight longer than Around the World and Rolling and Scratching. People want to critique robot rock for being too repetitive and going on for too long? Then check out rock and roll. I'm sure some people may be surprised, or not. After the trippy ride of rock and roll, we then come to another shorter song, simply titled Oh Yeah. Featuring guest contributions from fellow jockeys DJ Krabe and DJ Dilat, I'm probably butchering those names wrong again, and they presumably doing the vocals in this one, we endure in some deep, sick, rumbling bass and beats, as well as some screechy synths. And this is one of the few tracks in this album that actually have some legit lyrics and vocals. Sort of. Likely from the two aforementioned DJs. Aside from Oh Yeah, there's also Everybody Dance Screaming on the Dance. Though, wouldn't that be screaming on the dance floor? Or maybe it's referring to the synth itself screaming, as I've mentioned how screechy it is? Probably. This short piece has this kind of avant-garde industrial sound to it, almost like something you'd hear out of Nine Inch Nails. And not counting WDPK, and the final track we'll get to later, this is the shortest song of Homework, up to exactly 2 minutes. And honestly, it doesn't really bother me that much. It's quick, it's frantic, it's erratic, it's a musical rush. Is this song something that not only could you dance to, but could break dance to as well? To that I say, oh yeah.